What if one forgotten island could rewrite everything we thought we knew about the age of dinosaurs? Imagine a place where giants mysteriously shrank, where flying reptiles replaced dinosaurs as the dominant hunters on land, and where evolution seemed to follow an entirely different set of rules. Hidden beneath the hills of modern-day Romania, scientists uncovered fossils that reveal one of the strangest ecosystems ever to exist on Earth. But how could such an impossible world evolve? And what secrets has this lost island been hiding for nearly 70 million years? Today, we're exploring the mystery of Hațeg, the island where the familiar laws of prehistoric life no longer applied. But that remarkable predator was only one piece of the puzzle. Its success depended on an even more extraordinary transformation taking place across the island. Somehow, some of the largest dinosaurs ever to walk the Earth had become astonishingly small. Unlike most late Cretaceous ecosystems, there is no evidence that a giant meat-eating dinosaur dominated Hațeg Island. Instead, the apex predator appears to have been a giant flying reptile known as Hatzegopteryx, one of the largest pterosaurs ever discovered. At first glance, that seems difficult to believe. Most people picture pterosaurs as fish-eating animals that spent most of their lives soaring above oceans. But Hatzegopteryx was built differently. Fossils reveal an animal adapted not only for flight, but also for hunting on land. Fully grown Hatzegopteryx had an estimated wingspan of 33 to 40 feet, making it comparable to a small airplane. Standing upright, it could reach nearly 16 feet tall, allowing it to look over low vegetation while searching for prey. But its most remarkable feature was its skull. Measuring nearly 8 feet in length, the skull was unusually broad and heavily reinforced. Its neck was also much shorter and more muscular than those of most other giant pterosaurs. Biomechanical studies suggest these bones were capable of absorbing tremendous impact forces, indicating that Hatzegopteryx was built to overpower struggling prey, rather than simply catch small animals. For many smaller animals, there may have been no prolonged chase. One precise strike from that enormous beak could have ended the encounter almost instantly. Because the island's herbivorous dinosaurs had evolved into much smaller species, even an adult Magyarosaurus or Telmatosaurus was far less intimidating than its mainland relatives. Juvenile dinosaurs, small reptiles, mammals, and other vertebrates would all have been potential prey. Instead of chasing animals over long distances, Hatzegopteryx probably relied on patience. Walking across floodplains and open woodlands, it could use its exceptional height and keen eyesight to detect movement before delivering a powerful downward strike with its massive beak. Its hunting style may have resembled that of a modern stork or secretary bird, but on a scale unlike anything alive today. Although scientists continue to study exactly how Hatzegopteryx behaved, its anatomy tells a compelling story. The combination of a massive reinforced skull, powerful neck muscles, and the absence of giant theropod predators strongly suggests that this enormous pterosaur occupied the highest position in Hațeg's terrestrial food chain. It is one of the clearest examples of how isolation can reshape an ecosystem. On most continents, giant carnivorous dinosaurs ruled the land. But on Hațeg Island, evolution produced something far more unusual, a flying reptile that became the island's dominant predator. Yet Hațeg's most astonishing discovery wasn't one of its dinosaurs. It was the creature that ruled the entire ecosystem. How could some of the largest dinosaurs ever to evolve become so remarkably small? Magyarosaurus measured only about 16 to 20 feet long and weighed less than 2,000 pounds, roughly the size of a modern rhinoceros. For a member of the Titanosaur family, these dimensions were astonishing. Was it simply a young individual that had not yet reached adulthood? The answer came decades later through microscopic analysis of fossilized bones. By slicing thin sections of bone and examining them under powerful microscopes, paleontologists studied the internal growth rings preserved within the skeletons. Much like the rings inside a tree trunk, dinosaur bones record periods of growth throughout an animal's life. The results revealed something unexpected. The growth rings had become tightly packed near the outer surface, indicating that these animals had already reached skeletal maturity. They were not juveniles waiting to grow larger. They were fully grown adults. This discovery provided some of the strongest fossil evidence ever found for a process known as island dwarfism. Eventually, the available vegetation would no longer meet their needs. Over thousands of generations, individuals requiring slightly less food would have a better chance of surviving and reproducing. Their descendants would gradually become smaller, needing fewer calories while remaining just as successful in their environment. Magyarosaurus was not the only species to follow this evolutionary path. Another dwarf titanosaur, Paleotitan, also displayed reduced body size compared with mainland relatives. Even Telmatosaurus, a duck-billed herbivorous dinosaur, reached only about 16 feet in length and weighed approximately 1,100 pounds, making it one of the island's larger plant eaters, despite being relatively modest by hadrosaur standards. Could these dinosaurs have grown larger if they had lived on a continent instead of an island? Most paleontologists believe the answer is yes. Their ancestors almost certainly arrived from larger mainland populations before rising sea levels isolated Hatzeg. Once cut off, millions of years of evolution reshaped them to match the island's environmental limits. If Hațeg Island teaches us anything, it is that evolution never changes just one species. When an environment shifts, every organism within that ecosystem is forced to adapt. While dwarf dinosaurs and giant flying reptiles often received the most attention, they were only pieces of a much larger evolutionary puzzle. Every predator, every herbivore, and even the earliest birds living on Hatzeg evolved in response to the same challenge, surviving on an isolated island with limited resources. One of the most fascinating examples is Balaur bondoc, a small predatory dinosaur unlike almost any other theropod ever discovered. At first glance, Balaur resembled the famous velociraptor. It belonged to a closely related group of feathered predators known as dromaeosaurs. But a closer examination of its skeleton revealed something extraordinary. Instead of the lightweight body built for speed that scientists expected, Balaur possessed unusually thick leg bones, broad hips, and extremely powerful muscle attachments. Rather than having a single enlarged sickle-shaped claw on each foot like most dromaeosaurs, Balaur carried enlarged claws on both the first and second toes. This unique anatomy has puzzled paleontologists for years. Did Balaur chase prey across open ground? Probably not. Its robust skeleton suggests a predator built for strength rather than endurance. Many researchers believe Balaur relied on short, explosive attacks, using its muscular legs to overpower prey at close range, instead of pursuing animals over long distances. Even Hatzeg's crocodilians reflected this pattern of adaptation. The island's rivers and wetlands were home to Hatzegopteryx, an ancient crocodilian measuring roughly 10 feet in length. Compared with today's largest saltwater crocodiles, which can exceed 20 feet, Hatzegopteryx was relatively modest in size. Nevertheless, it remained an effective ambush predator. Its strategy required patience rather than speed. Hidden beneath shallow water with only its eyes and nostrils exposed, it waited for fish, turtles, mammals, or young dinosaurs to approach the shoreline. Then, in a fraction of a second, it struck with powerful jaws before dragging its prey underwater. But perhaps the most surprising resident of Hatzeg was neither a dinosaur nor a reptile. It was a bird. Fossils discovered in Romania belong to Gargantuavis, one of the largest birds known from the late Cretaceous. Scientists estimate it may have weighed between 280 and 310 pounds, making it dramatically larger than most birds living alongside dinosaurs. Yet Gargantuavis remains one of the greatest mysteries in paleontology. No complete skull has ever been found. Without a skull, researchers cannot determine the exact shape of its beak, the strength of its bite, or even its preferred diet. For millions of years, Hațeg Island remained one of Earth's most extraordinary evolutionary experiments. Within its forests, rivers, and floodplains, every species had adapted to the unique challenges of island life. Giant dinosaurs had become smaller. Flying reptiles had taken on the role of apex predators. Even birds and crocodilians evolved in unexpected ways, creating an ecosystem unlike any other known from the age of dinosaurs. Yet, despite millions of years of successful adaptation, there was one force that evolution could not prepare them for. Approximately 66 million years ago, an asteroid measuring an estimated 6 to 9 miles in diameter slammed into what is now Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, creating the Chicxulub impact crater, which spans nearly 112 miles across. The collision released more energy than billions of nuclear weapons detonating simultaneously, making it one of the most catastrophic events in Earth's history. Although Hațeg Island was located thousands of miles away in what is now Romania, distance offered no protection. But the greatest danger came afterward. Dust, ash, and tiny particles from vaporized rock filled the upper atmosphere, blocking a significant portion of sunlight for months, or perhaps even years. Temperatures dropped, photosynthesis slowed dramatically, and plants began dying on a global scale. The collapse started at the very bottom of the food web. Without healthy forests and vegetation, Hatzeg's dwarf herbivores faced starvation. As their numbers declined, predators soon followed. Hatzegopteryx, Balaur and countless other animals depended directly or indirectly on the survival of plant-eating species. Once that ecological foundation disappeared, the rest of the system unraveled with remarkable speed. It did not matter that Hatzeg's animals had evolved to survive with limited resources. It did not matter that they had successfully adapted to island life for millions of years. No ecosystem, no matter how specialized, could withstand a planetary catastrophe of that magnitude. By the end of the Cretaceous period, approximately 75% of all plant and animal species on Earth had disappeared. Every known non-avian dinosaur became extinct along with pterosaurs, mosasaurs, ammonites, and countless other organisms that had dominated the planet for millions of years. Hatzeg Island vanished as well. The island itself was gradually reshaped by tectonic activity over tens of millions of years. Rivers changed course, mountains rose, and the ancient landscape disappeared beneath layers of sediment. Today, nothing remains of the forests or floodplains that once supported this remarkable ecosystem. They remind us that nature rarely follows simple rules, and that some of its greatest discoveries are found not in the largest dinosaurs, but in the unexpected stories hidden within the rocks of a small island that disappeared millions of years ago. That's all for today's topic. Thank you for watching the entire video, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to stay updated on the latest developments.
We often hear that the ocean is a mystery, but let's look at the hard data. As of 2026, we have only mapped about 20 to 27% of the ocean floor in high detail. Even more shocking, when it comes to actually seeing it using cameras or deep-sea vehicles, that number drops to less than 1%. The deep sea isn't just a place we haven't reached, it's a world that has remained hidden in total darkness for millions of years. But once we venture into it, terrifying prehistoric creatures begin to emerge. The deeper you go, the creepier prehistoric oceans get. In the deep ocean, the lack of sunlight and extreme pressure redefine survival. With no plants performing photosynthesis, energy is extremely scarce. Deep-sea organisms, both modern and those shaped across millions of years of evolution, have developed remarkably efficient metabolisms to conserve every calorie. In this constant cold, rapid motion wastes precious energy, so evolution strongly favors slow and deliberate actions. Yet, in complete and permanent darkness, one fundamental problem stands out: how to detect food or danger when nothing is visible. In this darkness, vision becomes one of the greatest challenges, and evolution begins to take unusual paths. Consider the Ophthalmosaurus, often called the Great Eye of the Jurassic. This marine reptile grew to 19 feet long and weighed about 2,000 pounds. While its body was designed for high-speed diving, its most unsettling feature was its eyes. Measuring 9 inches across, they were roughly the size of a dinner plate. To keep the crushing water pressure from flattening these massive organs, nature built a sclerotic ring, a circular cage of bone that acted like a biological suit of armor for its vision. Equipped with these massive armored telescopes, they can detect the faint light of their prey in the darkness. This was truly a formidable prehistoric creature. But as the pressure grows, the designs get even weirder. Meet the Phosphorosaurus, the night owl of the Cretaceous. This 10-foot-long predator has eyes that face straight forward. Binocular vision let it navigate the dark and strike with exact precision. Instead of wasting energy on long chases, it acted as a highly efficient ambush hunter, waiting silently for the perfect moment to strike. It didn't look for movement. It followed the ghostly, bioluminescent glow of its prey, like a hunter in the dark. Every move was calculated, every strike deliberate. This predator dominated the Cretaceous more than any other. At these extreme depths, evolution reaches a turning point. Maintaining complex vision in total darkness is an immense energy expense. Consequently, some ancient lineages simply phased it out. This led to the emergence of specialized blind trilobites, highly adapted scavengers of the freezing seafloor mud. Growing up to 12 inches in length, these armored creatures navigated a world without light. They relied on highly sensitive antennae to detect subtle changes in the surrounding water, allowing them to locate organic matter drifting from above. There is a quiet, persistent efficiency to these blind scavengers as they patrol the depths in total silence. Some paleontological theories suggest that certain deep-sea trilobites may have retained or developed simple light-sensitive structures, potentially allowing them to detect faint sources of light in the abyss. Rather than the complex eyes of modern vertebrates, these primitive systems would have been tuned to limited ranges of light. This kind of adaptation highlights a deeper truth in the prehistoric ocean survival. Didn't depend on speed, but on efficiency, sensitivity, and perfect adaptation to the dark. The deeper you go, the creepier prehistoric oceans get. In these lightless depths, speed becomes a liability rather than an advantage. The most successful predators are not those that chase their prey, but those that wait with perfect precision. Consider the viperfish. It drifts almost motionless in the water, conserving energy in a world where food is never guaranteed. Its most striking feature is its teeth so long they extend beyond its jaws, forming a natural cage. Faint light-producing organs along its body glow in the darkness, drawing in curious prey. When the moment comes, it strikes with sudden accuracy, turning stillness into a lethal advantage. Another equally formidable prehistoric creature is the goblin shark. It doesn't rely on speed for survival. Hiding in the darkness, it uses sensitive receptors on its long snout to detect the faint electrical signals of nearby animals. What stands out is its long snout, which acts like a biological sensor detecting the faint electrical signals of hidden prey. At the perfect moment, its jaw launches forward with astonishing speed, capturing prey before it can react. Every movement is efficient, every action carefully timed. Deeper still, the frilled shark moves like a shadow from another age. Its long eel-like body glides silently through the water. Its mouth is lined with rows of backward-facing teeth designed to hold onto soft-bodied prey with relentless efficiency. Not all life in the deep ocean depends on active hunting. In a world where food is scarce and unpredictable survival often depends on patience rather than pursuit. On the seafloor, the giant isopod moves through the darkness like a relic from another age. Growing over a foot in length, it resembles an oversized ancient crustacean with a segmented armored body designed for protection. When a large carcass sinks to the ocean floor, these creatures gather and use their powerful mouthparts to crush through tough material. They can also curl into a tight ball when threatened, a defensive behavior rarely seen in deep-sea species of this size. Higher in the water column, the anglerfish introduces a different form of adaptation. Its most distinctive feature is a bioluminescent lure that extends from its head, produced through a relationship with light-emitting bacteria. In an environment where visibility is limited, this faint light becomes a powerful signal drawing prey closer. In the deep sea, patience is survival, and the anglerfish has mastered it. In this darkness, something ancient still survives the coelacanth. Once thought extinct for over 65 million years, it was rediscovered in 1938, alive in deep waters. Today, it is known to inhabit depths of around 150 to 700 meters, where sunlight barely reaches. It moves slowly, using its fleshy, limb-like fins in a pattern unlike most fish, almost like a walking motion through water. These fins reflect an ancient design similar to the structures that would later evolve into the limbs of land animals. A coelacanth can grow up to about 6.5 feet long, weigh over 200 pounds, and live for more than 60 years. Its body has changed little over tens of millions of years. In an environment where conditions remain stable, evolution slows. While countless species adapted or disappeared, the coelacanth endured. Not by becoming faster or stronger, but by remaining almost exactly the same. Yet the abyss holds an even stranger secret, an ecosystem fueled not by the sun, but by the Earth's inner heat. In the toxic, mineral-rich waters of hydrothermal vents, the tube worms thrive. Around hydrothermal vents, the giant tube worm Riftia pachyptila thrives in dense colonies. These remarkable animals can grow over 2 meters in length and live inside tough protective tubes. They have no mouth and no digestive system. Instead, they rely entirely on billions of symbiotic bacteria living inside their bodies. These bacteria convert toxic chemicals, such as hydrogen sulfide, into usable energy, allowing the worms to flourish in conditions that would be lethal to almost all other life. This extraordinary system proves that life does not require sunlight. It can be sustained purely by chemical reactions in the most extreme environments. Elsewhere on the deep sea floor, crinoids represent a very different but equally ancient survival strategy. Though they resemble underwater flowers or plants, they are actually animals that have existed for over 480 million years. Using their feather-like arms, they filter tiny organic particles from the passing currents. Their fossilized remains form vast limestone deposits found around the world, silent evidence of ancient underwater forests that once covered the ocean floor. Some scientists propose that environments like hydrothermal vents closely resemble the conditions in which early life on Earth first emerged. While this hypothesis continues to be investigated, it highlights how life can originate and persist in dark, high-pressure, and chemically extreme settings. But even before such ecosystems existed, the ocean was already home to a terrifying prehistoric creature. One of them was Abyssosaurus, a long-necked marine reptile that lived during the early Cretaceous period. It reached about 23 feet in length. Nearly half of its body was made up of its neck. Like other plesiosaurs, it likely used this long, flexible neck to quietly approach prey. Its head was small. Its teeth were thin and sharp. These features suggest it fed on soft-bodied animals such as fish and squid. Scientists are still studying its exact lifestyle. It likely moved through the water with steady and controlled motions. It relied more on patience than speed to catch its meals. Another remarkable example of ancient life is Diplomoceras, an ammonite, with a shell unlike almost anything else in the fossil record. Its shell did not form a tight spiral. Instead, it grew into a long, looping shape. Many people compare it to a paperclip. It could reach about 5 feet in length. This unusual design has led researchers to suggest it may have floated in the water column. it may have held a vertical position. Rather than chasing prey, it may have fed more passively. It likely used tentacles to capture small drifting organisms. Many details about its behavior are still uncertain. The shape of Diplomacerus shows the diversity of ancient marine life. Even earlier in Earth's history, during the Ediacaran period over 500 million years ago, lived a creature called Charnia dati. It was anchored to the seafloor. It resembled a delicate feather or leaf. No mouth, no eyes, no complete digestive system. But it likely absorbed nutrients directly through its surface. Its body showed a repeating, branching pattern. This is an early example of a natural design we now describe as fractal. It left no clearly identified modern descendants. It still provides an important glimpse into early complex life on Earth. Each discovery adds another piece to the story of life on Earth. It also reminds us how much there is still left to learn. Every time we think we have mapped the prehistoric ocean, the deep reminds us how much we still do not know. One of the most important regions for modern discoveries is the Clarion-Clipperton Zone, a vast stretch of deep seafloor nearly 3 miles beneath the Pacific. In recent years, researchers working in this region have identified many previously unknown species, including small scavenging crustaceans known as amphipods. These animals are not entirely new branches of life. Instead, they are new species within long-established groups that have continued to evolve in isolation. Their bodies show remarkable adaptations to deep-sea conditions, including tolerance to high pressure and the ability to survive in environments rich in minerals. Some species, such as the deep-sea amphipod Hirondelia gigas, can accumulate metals like aluminum in their outer layers, a trait that may help them withstand the extreme pressure of the deep ocean. Elsewhere in the ocean, scientists continue to explore depths that remain largely unobserved. Advanced tools, such as remotely operated vehicles and sonar mapping, sometimes detect unusual shapes or movements. In most cases, these signals turn out to be geological formations, sediment flows, or groups of known marine animals. While truly unknown large creatures have not been confirmed, these moments highlight how difficult it is to study such a remote environment. The deep ocean is not a place where ancient giants from the age of reptiles are hiding unchanged. Major extinction events, such as the Permian-Triassic extinction event, reshaped life on Earth in fundamental ways. Most large prehistoric marine reptiles disappeared completely, and their ecological roles were eventually filled by other groups. Many smaller and more resilient lineages did survive and continue to evolve, giving rise to the diverse, deep-sea ecosystems we see today. What these discoveries truly show is not that evolution has stopped or moved in secret, but that it has continued quietly in places we rarely reach. The deep ocean remains one of the least explored environments on Earth. Each new finding adds detail to a much larger picture. And while there is no evidence of hidden prehistoric giants, there is still plenty left to discover in the vast, dark waters below. Which of these prehistoric survivors fascinated you the most? The paperclip Diplomachus, the seemingly immortal coelacanth, or another one? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey into the abyss, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the prehistoric unknown. Thanks for watching.